Great.
Okay, yes.
All right, our play is Next to Normal. What's a musical? This musical is a rock musical that's oriented towards the book. It's previewed in New York March 27th, 2009, and the opening night was April 15th, 2009. It actually closes Sunday, the day we're leaving, so if you want to see it, now's the time. It plays at the Booth Theater, and tickets run from $36.50 to $121.50. The play is 2 hours and 20 minutes with a 15-minute intermission in between. The Booth Theater, here's a map from our hotel. You can just walk down Broadway to 45th and turn right on that street, and you go down like it's maybe half a block or something, and you'll see it on your left. The Booth Theater seats 783, and this, contrary to most other Broadway plays, the show is dark on Wednesdays, and it plays on Mondays at 8, which is like every other day.
For the cast, not to give too much about the plot yet, it features a bipolar mother named Diana in the play. It's currently played by Marin Mazzie. She's been in Broadway's Enron and Kiss Me Kate. Her role was described by the New York Times reviewer Ben Brantley as beautiful in its complexity, as authentic a portrait of a personality divided against itself. But that review was written at the opening when Alex Ripley played Diana, and Ripley actually now is on tour with the touring. The husband's name is Dan, and initially was played by J. Robert Spencer, and is now played by Jason Daniele, who previously performed in Broadway's Curtains and The Full Monty. According to the Washington Post's Peter Marks, the role of Dan is a thoroughly sympathetic account of a man bobbing helplessly in the whirlpool of his spouse's troubles. Diana's 16-year-old daughter in the play is named Natalie. Played by Megan Fay, she is kind of an angry and rebellious girl who kind of tries to be perfect at the same time. And she adds a lot of depth and color to the storyline. She's also played in Gossip Girl on TV and One Life to Live. Gabe is the 18-year-old son of Diana and Dan, played by Kyle Massey, who also played in Xanadu and Wicked. His character is said to be dashing, bright, and playful, and everything a mother could dream.
The primary plot of Next to Normal centers around Diana, who suffers from bipolar disorder and the hallucinations that she sees throughout the play. Also, Dan, the husband, and Natalie, the daughter, have to struggle and deal with Diana's situation. Also, a secondary plot has to do with Henry and Natalie, which Henry is a boy from school who meets Natalie at the beginning of the play, and throughout the play he starts trying to date her, and while she's still dealing with her mother. Diana, throughout the play, goes through a bunch of treatments. At the beginning of Act 1, we find out, the family realizes that there's something wrong, and so she gets diagnosed with bipolar disorder by this one doctor, Dr. Fine. And then she gets some treatments, and then we find out what her hallucination is. It's her son, who's actually been dead for 16 years, and she's been seeing him grow up, and so she thinks she's still there. And so this scene that's shown on the screen is her making a birthday cake for him and bringing it to the table after dinner, and Dan and Natalie are like, what's going on? So that makes it harder for them, because now they realize that she thinks that their son's been dead, or she thinks that he's been alive even though he's been dead for 16 years. And so her son, her hallucination, convinces her to go off her meds, and then drama ensues, and Act 2 begins with her going on a electroshock treatment by this other doctor. She starts seeing this other doctor, and then she loses her memory due to this. It's just ups and downs with Diana and her disorder. Dan starts dealing with his own depression because of his wife kind of losing her mind, and so that's another kind of subplot. Eventually, Diana regains her memory and then decides to deal with her problem herself, and so she ends up leaving Dan at the end of the play, of the musical. So, kind of dark and depressing, but a very deep plot. Some of the creators of this Next to Normal, Tom Kitt, he's the composer. This Next to Normal won the Pulitzer, 2010 Pulitzer for Drama, and that was kind of strange because none of the jury for the Pulitzer, they did not nominate Next to Normal at all, but the judges decided to award it to them anyways. So that was kind of different. And the musical also won 2 Tony Awards for Best Score and Best Orchestration. So Tom Kitt is responsible for some of that. He's also responsible for the musical supervision, orchestration, and arrangements of Green Day's American Idiot. Next, we have Brian Yorkie, he wrote the book and the lyrics, so pretty much everything that's spoken or sung is from him. He shares the Tony Award for Best Score with Tom Kitt. His other works include Off-Broadway, Making Tracks, as well as Play It by Heart. The critic from the New York Daily News, Joe Zemianowicz, also said special credit is due to these two, the songwriter for whose words and melodies resonate after you leave the theater. So their music is pretty good.
The director for this work is Michael Grape. He also directed the second stage and arena stage productions for Next to Normal and was nominated for a Tony. He's directed a lot of other things though, like Rent and Grey Gardens, for instance, which also have received Tony nominations, and he's done a lot of other things besides those. And the choreographer for this was Sergio Trujillo. He also choreographed Jersey Boys and received an Outer Circle Critics Award nomination. He performed in Guys and Dolls and All Shook Up, among a lot of other things. For the reviews for this, they were pretty much overwhelmingly positive, surprisingly. That surprised me, at least. For the New York Times review was from Ben Brantley, and he really stressed a lot about the plot and how heavy it was, and he compares it to an earlier version that was off-Broadway and talks about how that version kind of played it off like the serious topics as a joke and satire, but this one really, he said the one on Broadway is not afraid to just hit you hard with the weighty topic and all the issues of the characters and the strange thing that goes on in their minds. He claims that the newly toughened version turns the work into a work of muscular grace and power. So, really positive review. From the New York Daily News guy, Joe Zemianowicz, he mentions that although the plot description and the name of the show make it seem really not so appealing, Mr. Kitt and Mr. Yorkley, we just talked about, have an exceptional show that says something meaningful and powerful about surviving in a world of problems. For the Washington Post, Peter Marks, he says that, he opens his review with a question of, will Broadway have the smarts and taste to anoint Next to Normal as the best new musical of the year, is what he said. He puts a lot of emphasis on its deserving significant recognition, and he mentions that it's a prime example of the power of rock to tell heart-rending stories. The I'll Say reviewer, David Spencer, says, he actually talked a little bit about something I thought would matter for you as a pre-Harvard student going to this. He talks about how the serious subject matter kind of affected ticket sales in a lot of ways. And if you think about it, when I think of a musical, I kind of tend to think of a happier, more peppy, good topics. And that's what I kind of want to see when I go see a musical. So, people like our generation might see or hear about the topic of it and be kind of like, not so much. I don't really want to go hear about a dysfunctional family and a bipolar mom, But yeah, that was what we had for reviewers.
The pros and cons of seeing the show. Some of the pros, it won 3 Tonys and a Pulitzer, so that's cool. Critically acclaimed, most of the critics said it was really awesome. And then the music is rock music, and so I thought that might appeal to people our age who don't really want to see an operetta style as much. The cons, it received a mature rating from Playbill, and another website said 14 and up. Would anybody below that probably wouldn't want to see it, mostly due to the depressing subject matter, like the bipolar and dysfunctional family, and it's really just not a happy play. And then the target audience is mid to like people of the ages 40 and up who relate to the struggling family aspect of the suburban household item.
So for a free Harvard student thinking about going to this play, it's kind of a struggle because if you are in the mood for something dramatic and not so light and peppy, this would be great because it's got really great reviews, some awesome actors, and good music, right? There was a audience review I found on BroadwayBox.com that confirmed what the last reviewer said, and it gave it an overall positive review, but said that it has serious or even depressing content. So if you're prepared for that and you want some good drama, this would be a great choice. But otherwise, you may want to choose something else.
Great. Thank you.